I'm Daniel Frankl, and welcome to this edition of Expert News. And we're joined today with knowledge expert Larry Lucardie. We're going to be looking, Larry, I think today at three broad areas, and that would be customer contact areas, application development areas, and e-business areas. So looking at customer contact areas, I think the problem frames itself that nowadays we have so many different ways to be communicating with our customers. How is it that a knowledge approach brings simplification to that complex area?
One of the problems companies struggle with is consistency across the different channels. What you see currently is that a lot of inconsistency is there through the different channels, in the sense that if you go on a website, you get a different advice than when you go to the shop. Or when you send an email, you might get a different answer that is inconsistent with the two other channels. And to manage inconsistency, you need to have your knowledge in place and deploy it in a consistent way to the different channels. Of course, you have to adapt the knowledge in the sense that every channel works differently, but the core knowledge should be the same at each channel, which is often now not the case.
And how do you provide a solution to that problem?
And one of the things that we do is that we create a single point of knowledge representation, and that single point of knowledge representation is visual. And because it is visual, it's transparent, and because of the fact that it is transparent, you can validate the knowledge where it's complete, correct, and consistent. And if that is the case, you can deploy it immediately without any programming through the different channels in a consistent way.
What is the main problematic in this day and age in application development that businesses are facing?
There are a few dimensions which are problematic for organizations concerning application development. One of them is it's too expensive. And if you analyze why it's so expensive, one of the first things is the specifications are not very transparent of software. And people take specifications and then they are being programmed into software code. But if the specifications are not correct and not complete, the implementation of the specifications are also not correct and not complete. And then what companies do is that they repair the problems of the specification in the implementation. So that's a huge problem. If companies in India are doing the implementation, the actual programming, the problems of the specifications, like too many specifications, inconsistent specifications, should be solved during the programming, which is not the place where it should be solved. And in the end, you try to maintain and repair your software in the code, while the specification should be okay. And that is a huge problem. And in the end, it culminates in extremely high costs. If you look at application development and application maintenance, they consume a high percentage of the cost of an organization. It's more expensive than the hardware and the buildings of companies.
So then how does a knowledge values approach optimize that process?
Now we say take care that your specifications are transparent and goal-oriented. And take care that your specifications are executable. So in fact, in doing many steps in the life cycle model of software engineering, we say specify, and if you specify, you have your end application.
And you facilitate that specification?
Yes, we have the technology within Knowledge Values based on 20-30 years scientific research to create applications just by making the specifications. So hardly any programming. And that means that we have a totally different way of doing application development. It's faster and the specifications are more transparent and easier.
Would it be correct to say that it's a simpler form? You're simplifying a complex process.
It is much more simple than the way we work now with application development.
Yeah. Moving on finally to e-business, it seems as though every company on some level or another is being sometimes forced into web-based business.
Exactly, yes.
How does the knowledge approach affect those critical decisions in a business nowadays?
So if you're talking about e-business, you are talking about doing business over the internet 24 hours per day, 7 days per week. Another thing is that you have to do with e-clients. And an e-client is a different client than a client that visits the shop. If an e-client goes to your website and you don't help and support that client quickly, it will immediately go in a split second to another company. So it means that your knowledge should be readily available at your website, the best company knowledge, to help the client. Consumers need help to buy something on the internet, and that help should be provided by companies, and that cannot be done in giving a lot of information on the website, because then the e-client is going to another company. So it worked for the business to consumer market, it worked for business to business, where production, for instance, and marketing has to be communicated to different companies in the chain. So a lot of matching processes take place on the internet. Requires a lot of knowledge.
I own a company. I recognize some of the problems that you're coming forth with, and I want to do something about it. How would I imagine working with you and your company?
What we first would do is analyze the goals that you pursue as a company. By asking you what your goals are, by reconstructing it, taking care that your goals are testable, that you can check whether you realize a goal, yes or no. Then what we would do, we would help with that you have transparent goals, a system of transparent goals. Then we would describe processes clearly aligned to your goals. And in the process, we will take care that the knowledge represented in humans or applications or in documents will be transparent. So no information, but a lot of knowledge, instead of a lot of information that you can't use. And because we are drowning in information, but thirsty for knowledge, and that's too expensive. We cannot go on like this.
It's a lovely phrase, drowning in information, but thirsting for knowledge. What does that mean?
It means that if we want to do something, we are confronted with a lot of information while we need knowledge. So people complain that they get too much information or too little information, but what they need is very difficult to find.
You've been watching Expert News. I'm Daniel Frankl. Thank you for joining us, and until next time.